Good morning, welcome to Planet Mojo. Today I'm going to be scraping, mudding, caulking, stapling, and framing. It's almost exactly a week before the beginning of winter, and it's going to be 50 degrees today. So I'm going to take advantage of that and get some outside stuff done. I only have a few things out here. This right here, I want to get the bottom of this stapled. I did it in parts. Looks like I got like a foot and something else came up. I want to do this all the way around. If we have a bad storm and air gets under there, it may tear this stuff. I don't want that happening. That's the staple part of the equation. The caulking, I need to caulk around this door. I readjusted this and it's where it needs to be now. Just going to put a little bead on this, but it's more important at the top where we have this brick molding and these big gaps behind it. I'm going to pump some caulk into those and get a nice bead of caulk on the edge. I should caulk this stuff too, but I think I'm going to wait for spring and get this nailed in real tight, and I'm going to caulk and get this painted at the time. There's also caulking to do on all of these outlets. I'm going to go around with the vacuum, get that nice and clean in there, and then I need to tape the outside. And I'm going to put a bead of caulk all the way around. I'm going to pump it in there until it stops and get a real nice seal on all of these outlets. I'm not sure if I'm going to be doing that caulking today. I hope so. I want to get as much as possible done today. And then we got scraping, which is any of this stuff. There's not a lot of that stuff, but there's just like raised parts on all of the fill here. Yeah, like that and that. You just go around and lightly scrape that off, and then we'll add the next layer of mud on this. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how much of this I'm going to get done. I'm going to start on that outside stuff, and then this drywall, I'll get whatever I can done. I have to stop at a certain time today, so we'll run up until that time, and that'll be it. Yeah, that came out real good. Yeah, this is going to look beautiful in here. Hopefully, later tonight, off camera, I can get the studs for this wall done. I need to start framing this in so that I can drywall the doorway and get these last two walls drywalled. But for now, we'll grab our stapler and some staples and get that house wrap fastened down. Beautiful. Not sure if you're going to be able to hear it or not, but they're logging big time on the property just to the east of us. I'm probably going to go take a hike down there. Well, it's actually on the next ridge, so down and up, and go take a look. I think we'll probably do that, well, either later today or tomorrow. All right, all done. Not a lot to see here, but it was on my list and it needed to be checked off. The stuff on the back here is going to be removed next year. We're putting metal siding on both sides. It's going to be a charcoal color, and we're going to be putting tin up here, a bunch of other stuff, and we're going to be adding an addition onto that back part, so the house wrap will come off of that. This is just to get us through the winter and the spring. Okay, I think we'll caulk this next. I chose this quad because this particular one here can be used down to 0 degrees. And I believe it's going to be a little below freezing tonight. Not much, but if I used a water-based caulk, which most of them are these days, that would freeze and it would ruin the caulk. So you got to make sure. Most of the displays tell you the application temperature, and if you need to apply it below freezing, make sure you get the right caulk. And this is, where is that? Window, door, and siding sealant. So it's rated for outdoor use, and it has UV protectors and stuff like that in there. And it has 50% expansion. There's some that have more expansion than that, but we don't need that. We're just putting a 3/8 inch bead around the edge, and we're filling those gaps at the top. Come summertime, I'm going to be putting trim on there, and I'll make a little relief cut so that it goes over the caulk. Well, I'll show you all that stuff in the spring, but we're putting trim around the whole thing, and we're going to be caulking that as well. This is just to keep the water out until then. All right, let me get a knife. Oh, actually, I believe this unscrews. Yep. We will cut that tip off and then cut this right at 3/8, and we're off to the races. All right. Pretty good. This is the big problem with doing anything with this T111, but it looks like my little tool will help here. I have to get as much caulk into these gaps as possible. You can see, well, maybe you can't see, but I can see, like this one right here, the foam is nearly to the top, but there's foam in all of these. So what I want to do is try to get a little bit of a bevel there so that any water comes down and works its way off. In the spring, this is going to get molding that's about that high, and what I'm going to do at that time is I'm going to glue stuff, probably wood, into these with a bevel at the top, and the bevel will be right above where the molding goes, so it'll be invisible and there'll be no way that water's ever going to get down in there. I'll use some really nice glue, but until then, this needs to be watertight. So for now, it's just caulk. And to compound the difficulty, the T111 has a detail on the bottom of it, this little lines back there, and if I don't get those filled as well, water's going to get behind that. Water has a way of finding any little gap that you got. All right, I need to add a little bit more to that one. Oh, probably all of these. Just don't want a place where water's gonna sit. Because it will absolutely leak. Good thing is, this is the east side of the barn, and the prevailing weather comes from the west. So this will very rarely even get rain on it. So this little bit of detailing should do the trick. It'll definitely do the trick until next summer when we put the trim on it. Yeah, back in the day, we used to use quad in business, but you couldn't find this at stores. You had to get it from a supplier, contracting supplier, a window place or something. You weren't going to find it in the big box stores. Kind of difficult to see what's going on with this clear, but it is sealing up really well. All right, now a bead. All right. They tell you not to tool this, which is what I'm doing right now. But if I don't tool this, it's not going to get into the little cracks in this T111. Not sure if you're going to be able to see that cat down there. It's my daughter's cat. And he's kind of my partner these days. Every time I go on a walk, he comes with. Used to be my cat Maisie would do that, but now it's him. Hello, mister. Oh, my tool. So in the end, this is going to have 2 layers of waterproofing. This one here, and then one on the trim itself. You're not going to be able to tell, but where I have a bigger gap, I slow down and let this pump into the gap, fill the gap a little bit. Beautiful, very late fall day. Last week of fall. Yeah, we got a bigger gap on this side, so I'm pumping this into the gap. You can see where the foam made it to the outside here and there. Yeah, this scraping took a good deal longer than I thought it was. It's already a little bit past 1. These tape joints, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it or not, but they're still a little bit damp. So I'm going to let those wait until tomorrow, let them dry up a bit, and I'm going to go have lunch. And when I come back, I'm going to put the second coat on all of these screws. Yeah, you can see almost every one of them has a little dimple inwards. So we'll get those filled, and then we'll come back tomorrow and we'll finalize the screws, and we'll get another coat on these tape joints. I'll be thinning out the compound for that. And I don't think I'll be able to do anything else tomorrow, but that's going to take a couple days to dry, and I'll start on the wall over here during that time. This is not going to take a whole lot of mud. That's probably plenty for the whole thing, but I'm sure I'll drop some. Now, it's not going to take a lot of mud to fill these little dimples. And I'm going to be sanding this tomorrow. Along with taped joints. I don't want to sand much, and I shouldn't have to, but I also don't want to dimple these again. The sander I'll be using on this hooks up to the vacuum, so it doesn't make any mess. And it's really fine sandpaper. A lot of these screw holes you can do like this. That's not going to require any sanding, but some of them will definitely require sanding. Alright, it is the next day, and I brought over my sanding stuff. 220, 220, 120, 150. I think we're gonna go with the 220. Yeah, this is shot. This is a vacuum sander, and I usually have links to any of the tools in the description, and I'll make sure there's one for this. But what this does is hooks up to your shop vac, and it allows for a nearly dust-free sanding. Alright, make sure that's all the way in. I'm just starting today, and it's already past noon. I had a bunch of household stuff that I had to get done, as well as YouTube stuff that had to be done. So I'm really late today. I had hoped to get this sanded and get the corner coats on, and after that go in and cut all of the framing, but that's not going to happen. We'll do the framing tomorrow. Today, if I can get all of these screw holes sanded and get the corners mudded, I'll consider that a big success. Alright, so hook this up to the vacuum, and we're off to the races. I don't think I'm going to do the joints today, just the screw holes. I think when I go to do the joints, I'm going to do the joints and the corners at the same time. So Let's get these screw holes sanded and get the corners taped and mudded. Let me show you how this works real quick. When you're sanding with these, if you have this set, this is the air port. If you have this completely closed off like that, it's gonna suck the sanding pad really tight against the wall, and you're probably gonna sand right through the paper almost instantly. So I'm gonna want it, well, I'll start with it all the way open. You can see it's all the way open there, and that way it sucks a lot more air through right here and a lot less through the grid under the sanding mesh, and that way it makes it easier to sand, but it may pick up less of the dust. So I'll fine tune it. It's probably gonna end up like right there. Actually, I'll start right there and see how that works. I'm doing this without the vacuum on because that's going to make some horrific noise and I won't be able to talk for a while. I should show you something about that vacuum as well. This vacuum is an actual drywall vacuum. They probably don't make this model anymore, but it's a dual filter. It's got a paper bag on the inside, and then it has a filter up here. And to clean that filter, this shakes it right here. You just do that every once in a while, and it knocks the fine dust off the pleated filter. Well, I'll show you it some other time, but it has a pleated filter in this whole upper area right here. If you don't use a drywall vacuum, the really fine drywall dust is going to go right through your vacuum and back out into the air. So I would highly recommend you either use one of these or just sand by hand, wet sand or whatever. So if you're going to be sanding with a vacuum, make sure that you have a drywall vacuum. Otherwise, it's just spitting out the really fine dust, the most dangerous dust, back out into the room. Okay, this came out really well. It took like 2 hours to get this completely sanded, and I was sweating my butt off. I turned off the heater and everything, and it was still quite the workout. You could see that we got a bit thin here, but that doesn't matter. We'll get that with the next coat. And a few of these screw holes have little dimples in them still, which doesn't matter. This is going to get primed with PVA drywall primer, and you'll be able to see any little imperfections in the screw holes or anywhere else, and we'll fill those with spackle at the time. Okay, now for the corners. Yeah, it's getting late already. It's going to be dark in probably 15-20 minutes, so I got to get moving on this. So what we're going to do on this is spread mud both ways, then embed our tape in it, squeeze the mud out, and we're going to take, where is that, right here, the corner trowel. Well, we'll put mud over the top of it and then take the corner trowel and trowel it as best as we can. And then I'll come along and smooth out the sides. Hopefully I do a really good job on this and I don't have to do a lot of sanding in the coming days, but we'll see. It's definitely going to look a lot better once I get these corners mudded. Okay, I got the corners done. This one is real nice. My sanding block will go right into that corner and a little bit of touch up, and this one is really good. But this one, I caught the paper with my knife and I tried fixing it a little bit and then just decided to stop and wait for tomorrow. I'll cut the paper out right here and put a new piece of paper in and just patch that up. It'll be perfect in the end, but kind of sucks right now. So basically I stopped what I was doing so I didn't get this as smooth as I would normally do. So this one will take a little bit more sanding and a little bit of patching, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. All right. Looking pretty good out here otherwise. So tomorrow, we actually have rain tomorrow. You can see that it's dark out there right now. It's nearly 6 o'clock. And I'm finally wrapping this up. So, like I said, it's gonna rain tomorrow. So what I'm gonna do is cut all of the studs for that partition wall. And I'm going to cut all of the blocking that's going to go in here for the ladder. And I'm not exactly sure what I'll be able to get done tomorrow, but I'm going to switch focus to that. This stuff is going to take a day or two to dry, so, and I need to patch it, so it's going to be a while before I get back on that. And I really need to get this wall finalized and get the drywall on here, so I'm not too far behind with joint compound and stuff on this wall. So it looks like I'll be doing framing tomorrow. Also, I'm not sure about tomorrow or not, but I need to get the service entrance panel in as well, get that electric hooked up. It's going to be really nice out for the foreseeable future, with the exception of one cold day, and I believe that's in 2 days. Rain tomorrow, then cold day, then back up into the 40s, pushing 50. So I can basically do whatever I want. But like I said, I really need to get this framing done, so I'm sure that's going to be next. So if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe and click on the update icon. If you have any questions or comments, make sure you put them in the comment section below. And if you share the video and or give it a like, It helps the channel out greatly. Thanks for watching and have a great day.